Hi everybody, welcome to the Omnivorous Bookworm. My name is Lauren and today I wanted to do the social media book tag. I have seen a couple other people do this video and I enjoyed it. I like seeing people talk about books in different ways, and that's what is fun about the book tags. So I have put some thought into these books. I'm not just talking off the top of my head, so I have my tablet to remember here. Okay, so for the social media book tag, we have like a different social media platform and then a question or prompt that goes along with it. So the first one is Twitter, and it is your favorite shortest book. And I thought about this one a lot. I think, because short is relative, right? But I think it would have to be Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. I read it recently, and it's not too long. I've actually seen it called a novella by some people. I think it's about 200 pages. And also each chapter is more like a short story, so you could read any of the chapters and it would make sense in and of itself. So I think that's the best example for the short one. I love it. It's written, I don't know, maybe like it was like 1850, 51, something like that. And it takes place in a small town that is controlled by single women, which is pretty funny. And it's really funny. It's really humorous, and you don't see that a lot in Victorian fiction. I mean, you'll see like funny aspects, but to see so many together and to see how the women are portrayed, I I really enjoyed it. And it's such a contrast because I had also read North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, which is much longer and much more serious and has a lot more depth. But Cranford is just a light, fun uh, read. I mean, there are some more like serious things that happen, but yeah, it's overall, I laughed out loud several times reading it, and it's just a short, fun book. For Facebook, a book everybody pressured you to read. This one was really hard for me because I don't feel like people really pressure me a lot. Like they'll usually just say, "Oh, I like this book," or I'll feel pressure because like everybody's read this book and I really like it and I feel like I should read it. It's more like I pressure myself. I would say like overall maybe Harry Potter. I just felt kind of guilty that I hadn't read it, and I read like the first three books or so, maybe like I think I got halfway through the fourth book, and I wasn't as into it, and maybe that was part of the problem because like I felt like everybody was telling me to read it, and I don't know. I'm like a 13-year-old at heart. Like if somebody tells me I have to do something, then I don't want to. So, but the book that I feel like right now that I haven't read, that I feel not pressure in a bad way, but just like everybody talks about how much they love it, and I haven't read it yet, is Circe by Madeline Miller, and I do want to read it. It always makes me nervous because I feel like, well, everybody likes it, so if I don't like it, like what's wrong with me? But I think I will. I think I will like it. I don't know. It's just one of those things you just feel this like, oh, if I don't like it, should I say so? All right, Tumblr, a book you read before it was cool. And again, I have a hard time with this because I don't think I read anything before it's cool, or things that I think are cool, nobody else decides that they think it's cool. But I will say one thing that I read before I knew that other people maybe thought it was cool, or maybe before it was cool, I'm not sure. I don't think before it was cool because it was published quite a while ago. Was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and it's not my favorite book by him. I think my favorite one is Veronika Decides to Die. But I read that book. Actually, my husband told me to read it when we were dating. Um, I read it before. I had never even heard of Paulo Coelho, and then after I read it, it was like suddenly he was everywhere, and like they were talking about him, and all these kids had read him in school, and I was like, um, I was just surprised because I had never heard of it. So I liked it before I knew other people liked it. So that's the closest I could get. MySpace, for MySpace, a book you don't remember whether you liked it or not. So I looked back on my books from like, I don't know, of several years ago to like look at the books, and try to think of a book that I knew that I had read, but I really couldn't remember whether I enjoyed it or what it was about at all. And the one that I found was The House on Fortune Street by Margot Livesey. I guess you say it like that. I don't know. I can't tell you anything about the book. I have no idea. I know I read it. Like, it's marked that I read it, but I can't tell you if it's good. Can't tell you if it's bad. I have no idea. I don't think it's too bad, or I would remember that. Instagram, a book that was so beautiful, you had to Instagram it. So I usually read ebooks, so I'm not like as into the covers, although obviously we all get drawn in by covers. But I will say one book that has a really beautiful cover, and I'll put it up here. And it is a pretty cover, but the inside, like the description, everything is a beautiful, beautiful book. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. Is The People of Ostrich Mountain by Ndirangu Githaiga. Sorry, I'm sure I said that wrong. But it's about there's 3 different people. One is a woman in Kenya during like the 1950s, I believe, when like there's like a revolution happening. Then there's the white school teacher that she kind of knows, who has her own story, and then her son who ends up going to the US. And it's really beautifully written, but the plot is excellent too. And we have these 3 characters. All of their stories are compelling. I didn't feel like one was more compelling than the other. And they take all these themes and issues like immigration and be feeling like the outsider, and he tackles it from like on the outside, like 3 very different people at very different times, and then but you realize it's like this common human experience, like these common emotions, but they are very different experiences as well. So I think he did a great job sort of like doing the thread of these 3 people and showing the commonalities as well as the differences. Plus it's set in Kenya during a time that I never studied in school, so it made me want to read more about it after I read the book. So I always enjoy books like that. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Okay, YouTube. A book you wish could be turned into a movie. So this is a book I just finished reading, so it's like fresh in my mind. But it was Empire of Sand, which is the #1 in Ambha. And it is by Tasha Suri. It's just the descriptions that she gives. It's a fantasy book. It's an adult fantasy book that has some romance, but it's like intertwined into the story. It's not a romance fantasy at all. It's just the description of the setting with the sand, and then certain like parts of the body when things happen, and there's a lot of like sort of dancing and hand signals involved in the book. So I just think it would be really difficult to make into a movie, but well, maybe not too difficult, but it would be visually like really stunning, and it would really be beautiful. So I would love to see that as a movie. I would think that would be great. Goodreads, a book that you would recommend to everyone. So I think I mentioned this one before, but it would be Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. I think that's a book that would have. I haven't read the sequel yet. I intend to, but it's a book that I can't imagine like almost everybody would, I think, get something out of it, unless you don't like to read. But it's technically a YA book, but it definitely doesn't feel that way. There's a lot of more advanced themes. So like depending on the reader, like the younger audience might enjoy the action and the characters, and then as the older audience will enjoy that. Plus you have like different themes as far as like communism and how the government controls things. It's very, very complex decisions that they have to make. I love all that stuff. So I think it's a great book for everybody. I would recommend it for lots of people. All right, and then we have the last one is Skype, a book with characters you wish you could talk to instead of just reading about. It's like every book, right? I think for me, I would love to talk to like Miss Marple from the Agatha Christie books. She's so interesting, and like every time she has like in the story, she's like, "Oh, I experienced this," or when this person was killed in this horrible way, and you're just like, Miss Marple, your life has been very, very interesting. I would love to talk to her. Also, I feel like Joe from Little Women, because I just grew up loving that book so much. When I was little, I read like the Little Women and the Little Men, and in Little Men, Joe has a school for mostly boys and a couple girls, and I wanted so bad to like be able to like go to that school. So I think that is definitely I would love to talk to her. She would I feel like she's the kind of person that would always like give you good advice and make you feel good about yourself, and she's just like really sweet but also funny, like not too sweet. And then another book that I like recently read, so it's like well, yeah, it's like fresh in my head, is like the Lady Hardcastle books. I read the second one, so In the Market for Murder. I forget the author, I'm sorry. But Lady Hardcastle in those books, or Flo, because Flo like lived in a circus, and Lady Hardcastle lived in China and all these places in the early 1900s. Like, she's not real, obviously, but like her character did. And yeah, she's just a very interesting person, so I think that will be an interesting person to talk to as well. So those are all my answers. Let me know if you agree with any of my answers or what your answers would be. And if you would like to do the tag, I will put a video down below that you can follow, that I found. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.